Mathew, welcome to Climate Talk Uganda.
Thank you, Josephine.
It's taken us 50 episodes to get you in the studio, and we are very pleased with ourselves.
Firstly, congratulations for making 50 episodes, and thank you for having me on this 50th episode.
I think it's important for people to understand why the Climate Smart Jobs Project is backing a podcast, and you're agriculture and climate. That's your area.
Yeah.
But here you are in media, so to speak. Why was it important to back a podcast like this one?
That's a very strategic question. It covers a lot of things in that same question. Firstly, I believe in systems. I believe that if you want to have an effective change on smallholder farmers and on the less privileged members of our society, you cannot solve it by going in with one size-fits-all solutions. You've got to look at the whole system in which they exist. So you've got to look at how do they access markets, how do they access information, how do they access goods, how do they invest their money, and how do they spend their money, the balance between their expenditure on what we could classify as essential goods and services to what they spend as essential to their survival and what they spend on luxuries. And when you think of all of that and think of that as a system in which smallholder farmers are finding themselves in, you find that there's a lot of leverage points and points of entry where you can interact with them. But there's a problem that exists and that is in front of us, which is climate change. And climate change is not something that is written in books, in documentaries, but it's something that smallholder farmers are actually experiencing right now, today, on a day-to-day basis. They're seeing a change in the pests that they're having to deal with. They're seeing a change in rainfall patterns. They're seeing a change in the production practices that they have got to be adopting and utilizing daily. They're seeing change manifest in many areas. When we did some work 4 years back, we found that when you asked smallholder farmers what were the biggest challenges that they were facing, a number of key things were popping up to them. Too much sunshine was one of those. Pests was one of those. Rainfall, erratic rainfall was one of those. Dry spells. So even in a season where they're getting the total millimeters that they want in a season, they still had dry spells in between, so their productivity was challenged. So that's the unpredictableness of the climate. And when you ask smallholder farmers to rank their problems, usually what they tell you is access to market, and that sits also in there. And then access to the right information on when to plant, what to plant, when to take particular actions, what inputs to use at a particular time. And there's so much information that is out there that distorts smallholder farmers' understanding of what they should be prioritizing and doing with their agricultural practice. And therefore, circling back to your question, I know I've given a long-winded answer. Circling back to your question, it became very imperative that whilst we're working in agriculture, we have got a reliable source of information that people that are working in agriculture and people that are working with farmers and the farmers themselves are able to come to a one true source of information, which has got information that has been verified, data that has been checked, stories that are realistic, practical, that speak to the everyday realities of smallholder farmers. And so it made sense to invest in the setting up of this Climate Talk Uganda podcast with the sole intention of making sure that smallholder farmers are at the center of what comes out of this podcast, even though there can be a lot more people that can benefit from it, but smallholder farmers become the center.
So I understand the need for knowledge, the need for information for smallholder farmers. And I understand that it can be, they will get their information from other sources. So for smallholder farmers, it's radio and community events and so on. But a podcast and smallholder farmers, I know the math behind it, but please explain it to somebody else who is wondering. You're speaking about smallholder farmers and you're in a studio in Kampala, speaking in good English and trying to put out information on climate change.
Thank you for complimenting my English. I didn't realize it was good. Jokes aside, the main reason for investing in a podcast and spending time and cash resources on it is that, number one, there is those farmers that have got the access to the podcasts. They are not all smallholder farmers sit in the same bracket. They are smallholder farmers that are quite resourceful. I get shocked when I'm talking to smallholder farmers and they're telling me that, oh, I'm following this person on TikTok and this is where I'm seeing some of my farming practices, or this practice that you're trying to do with cocoa. I was talking to someone over this weekend who was explaining to me that the guidance that they'd been provided on trimming and pruning cocoa to leave 3 branches is not working for them as well as they would want to, and they would want to leave 4 branches because that's what they're seeing on TikTok. And this is a smallholder farmer, and they're telling you that they're seeing this on TikTok and they want to change their entire agronomy around cocoa. So that's quite important. So there is that type of smallholder farmer. But the bulk of the smallholder farmers, we know from statistics that the bulk of them get their primary source of information is the radio. And then the second primary source of information is from, in broader terms, community influencers. So this is your agriculture extension officers, your pastors, your LCs, your imams, your anybody that is seen and taken as a point of reverence and reference for communities. And in a lot of times, in a lot of these cases, these people have got very limited access to good, reliable information on agriculture. But they usually, in most of these cases, are the ones that have got the smartphone, the laptop, the technology to be able to access different forms of information. But a lot of the information that is out there is generic and it's not particular to the Ugandan context. And the focus of this podcast to really primarily be focused on the Ugandan context, even though it's applicable to many other farmers outside of Uganda. But putting Ugandan farming at the heart of what it is doing makes a significant difference as a true source of information for these people, and hence the podcast.
We're very, 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 very thankful for the investment into this podcast and for making this happen. Personally, I've learned a lot in the last 50 episodes that I've been doing this. This is about 2 years now of the podcast. So you've been working with smallholder farmers for quite a while, 18 years, you said. So that's about 2008, if my math serves me right. What has changed in the field from when you first went out in the field, and I don't know what country that was in, and to now when you go out in the field in northern Uganda? What changes do you see that are important for us to know?
So most of my work in agriculture started back in my country where I come from, which is Zimbabwe. And there was specific evidences, specific things that you could track from the work that I was doing back home to when I've moved across the continent and when I've moved into Asia, into the Middle East. There are commonalities that exist amongst small-scale farmers, which is the commonalities around access to information. It has changed from totally relying on radio and communal leadership to having other sources available to them. Phones have revolutionized how smallholder farmers are getting information. There's still a gap, depending on country to country. The one commonality, at least, that you can see across small-scale farmers is at least access to a button phone. in my country, we nickname it Mbudzi, which means it's like the GOT phone.
That's Kabiriti for us.
Okay. So exactly. So that same phone that all of us joke about, there's a lot of information that can be passed through it, through SMS, through the use of USSD codes that smallholder farmers can dial into and get. And I've seen significant improvements that have happened over time. But I've also seen significant frustration and reluctance to proactively go and find that information by farmers on these short codes that are provided, or too much SMSs that are sent their way that are not really applicable to their situation. So information is one thing. Inputs, the quality of inputs, and the last mile distribution of inputs. I've seen an improvement. There's still quite a lot of work to be done. A lot of our smallholder farmers, unfortunately, especially in Africa and Asia, live alone Middle East and Europe. That's a very different place. But for Asia and Africa, a lot of our smallholder farmers are in the harder to reach places. So the roads that lead to where they are, the climatic conditions or the weather conditions that they normally are located, because normally the prime land is usually taken over for commercial purposes, and there's commercial farming happening in prime land. So usually smallholder farmers tend to be in the drier, less fertile, harder to reach areas. And so that means that access to inputs is also quite a challenge. Access to off-take markets is a big problem. Governments are improving the road networks. Governments are improving the reachability of these farmers, and technology is trying to catch up. I mean, the use of borders here in Uganda, tuk-tuks, is improving this access, but there's still quite a bit of work to be done. But there's a lot of positivity around it. The new challenge now that farmers are grappling with is this change in weather, which you can interpret to be climate change in some instances because of the consistency over time. And that is something that we all need to put our heads together and figure out how to best protect the environment, the livelihoods of the farmers that are finding themselves within those conditions, and figure out how to get the best for those farmers, but also for all the other stakeholders and people working around them.
I know that the project did some research, and you spoke about this about 3-4 years ago, before implementation started, and you spoke about what farmers were telling you were their biggest challenges. Is that what you've seen in the field that you'll point to and say, this is the climate change challenge we're trying to address with these smallholder farmers?
Oh, it is very true and very realistic. When you ask farmers when they're going to plant, they're very confused. They are not clear. So in the same district, you've got farmers that are telling you that we will plant end of March. And then whilst they're waiting for end of March, there's rains that are coming in February in a way that leaves them confused about when to plant, whether to ignore them, whether these are misleading rainfalls or these are the genuine rainfalls. This year, for example, in some of the sub-regions that we work in, like Lango, there were farmers that took advantage of early rains that came in February, and they got something. There are those that were hesitant and did not plant with those early rains because they were not sure whether these are genuine rains, and they waited and waited for the normal time that they're used to, and their crops did not mature because they technically planted late, even though they planted on time. Farmers are unsure about when to save, when to hold on to their seed, because also when they've planted with these first rains, some of these rains have been false starts, and they've put in their inputs in their seed, their fertilizers, and they've lost all of that due to the unpredictability of the weather. And there's not enough good information out there that is telling them that this is just a passing rainfall that is coming because of something that is happening somewhere else on the coast or something that is causing these rains to come in, but this is not the beginning of the season, these are passing rains, or this is the beginning of the season, you better plan. It's not an exact science, weather information, and it's not an exact science, but there's enough data out there that can reach farmers and can help farmers make more informed choices than they're making right now.
So the experiences that you've shared, was this why the Climate Smart Jobs project was started?
This is part of the reason. Access to good, reliable information on weather is a key element of the responsibility of Climate Smart Jobs.
What else?
The other thing was access to quality inputs by smallholder farmers at the best competitively priced prices in their communities. So, and then the third one, was about access to good quality extension services. So how do they take care of those crops or the livestock that they are pursuing, livestock enterprises that they're pursuing, and make sure that they're doing it the right way that gives them the best return for their investment in those enterprises. The fourth thing was helping improve the access to the other support services that enable their farming to take place better. For example, access to tractors, access to insurance, access to technologies that improve their farming practices. The fifth thing was then, having done all this and having produced, where do they sell their produce, and then building up that access to good, reliable, predictable, and fair-priced markets that are able to offtake their produce. And these were the problems that were surrounding smallholder farmers, and that's why CSJ came to try and solve these problems.
How does CSJ support smallholder farmers? Everyone I speak to, even just listening to Solomon from our last episode, was speaking to a market systems approach and so on. Paint a picture for me about a smallholder farmer in Acholi or in West Nile. How does CSJ support their resilience to climate change?
So a smallholder farmer sitting in Acholi knows quite a few things to be true. So they're right. They are in Omoro, and they've known that the rains have been erratic. They've known that they've not been receiving quality inputs. They've known that they don't have the right extension services, and they struggle with markets when they need to sell. These are the problems that are common amongst them, and they're struggling with dealing with pests and diseases in their crops and livestock. The solution that is easy and unsustainable is to go and say, let them all stop farming. Let's give them a grant every month for them to live by. But where is this grant coming from? The resources in the world are limited. The next most practicable solution, which is what excites me and gets me out of bed, is to then understand how the system around them is working, so that you are trying to understand the root causes of what is causing their challenges. So when smallholder farmers say that they've got a problem with access to inputs, is the problem with access to inputs that there's no quality inputs in their place? Or is it that they do not have the money to buy these inputs? Or is it that they do not have the knowledge to choose the right inputs? Or is it that no one is seeing them as a good, viable market and investing in that? And trying to understand that just that system around inputs takes time and resources to understand it, and to try different options to solve and unlock that particular system, and make sure that you've got the right solution that is durable, that is not driven by incorrect assumptions, but is really driven by understanding where the correct leverage point is. Same thing you can say about access to offtake markets or about access to services. I always give this example that if you have got a problem that is manifesting in one place, even here in Kampala, if you've got a problem of water shortage in this building that we are sitting in right now, the the most practical solution to solve the problem of water is to dial a delivery of some sort, and you get water delivered to you in jerrycans, and it comes through, and you can utilize the water. But how much longer can you do that, and how practical is it for other facilities that are not easy for you to get that water from the jerrycan, because maybe you want the water to be flowing or to be running in a different place? So you need to figure out where is the problem that is causing the water not to come into this building. And the problem can just be as simple as there's an unpaid bill and therefore water has been disconnected. And so you figure out that problem, you solve, and thank God if that problem is that simple. Sometimes it is that there's a breakage in the infrastructure of the water delivery to this building, and then investigating where that breaking point is in that infrastructure can take a while, but maybe it might manifest into a leakage that you're seeing down the road, and that can be sorted out. The other problem can be a little bit more technical and can be further down to the pumping station where water is being pumped, where the actual pump that is pumping water is either broken, which is easy, and you fix it and you get it going, or the pumping station was built for a different population size and a different household size, and then the capacity is no longer what it is and now needs to be expanded. And so you need to remove that water pump and replace it with a bigger, higher capacity one. But that comes with a lot of other engineering problems, and I'm not an engineer, so I do not want to speak out of turn here. But the other problems then might be that the piping that was put in there cannot withstand the pressure that is now coming from the new pump, and you've got a whole lot of other problems. So figuring out these solutions is not something that you figure out overnight. As you can imagine, once you replace the pump, then you figure out that the pipes are now breaking because there's too much pressure, or now there's new adjustments that need to be done. That's what CSJ tries to do. It tries to understand the problem that farmers are facing, try to solve from a market-led perspective one of those problems. But in solving one of these problems, we realize that sometimes we make other problems that seems like they were silently sleeping come to the fore, and we then have to figure out how to solve the problem in its wholeness. And what we are trying to find is the point where we can put the least effort to get the best result in that entire system. So where is it that if we apply the least effort on the lever to change, we are able to have to move the what seems like a boulder of resistance that is in the way of smallholder farmers. We're able to roll it out of their way, and they're able to do their farming more effectively.
Give me an example of what you're speaking about using one of your interventions or business models.
What comes to mind is the generic two problems: access to reliable inputs and access to offtake markets. So what we know is that smallholder farmers, to be able to access quality inputs, they've had to jump on a bus or board or a taxi to get to the next big city, where they can then go into the big agricultural shops to buy inputs that they can trust and that they think are more reliable, and also in a competitively priced way. But this creates a multitude of problems around just, number one, their safety whilst they're on those means of transport, the
Resources,
costs associated with their travel, the planning that is needed around that, the predictability of getting the right inputs and go there and find them when they go. But fifth and most importantly is the distance between themselves and the source of their inputs, which means that if they buy inputs and they've got problems with these inputs, they're not easily able to go back to that shop without planning another more complicated trip to go back to them. They are not able to just walk in and say, the maize seed that you sold me did not germinate. Because if you buy it from a local person, you're able to go and say, hey, the maize seed that you sold me did not germinate. Come see in my field, and the local person is able to come and maybe see, verify for themselves, and say, you planted here and you've got ducks around. I heard a story about somebody who recently planted and ducks came and ate all their maize seed, and say, your ducks ate. How did you expect it to germinate? Or there was a dry spell, this is what happened, or something, or there's an explanation, or genuinely maybe the maize seed was of poor quality. Let me take the evidence, let me send it back to the maize seed supplier, and let me get you recompensated. And those are the problems that Climate Smart Jobs has been trying to solve, and we tried to solve it by creating an ecosystem that we call WIIGOT. And this ecosystem, and let me say right from the beginning, before we all get lost, because a lot of people make this mistake because of how much noise has been made about WIIGOT. WIIGOT is not a software. WIIGOT is an ecosystem that exists between smallholder farmers and trading partners, and I'll explain that. So we've got smallholder farmers. We've talked about smallholder farmers. I think everyone is familiar. Anybody listening to this podcast is quite familiar with what a smallholder farmer is. The smallholder farmer needs to access different services from the market. And these services are either inputs, either information, mobile money, loans, whatever, in the market to offtake their produce. So this grouping of the needs of smallholder farmers is provided by the private sector, and we call this private sector trading partners. So anything that smallholder farmer needs to do, they need to interact with trading partners so that their farming enterprise, their farming business is profitable and makes sense for them, and it's a worthwhile investment. But there is a gap, there is a distance that exists between smallholder farmers and trading partners, and this distance exists because mostly the size of the enterprise, the farming enterprise of smallholder farmers, and it does not bring good economies for trading partners to interact with smallholder farmers on a one-on-one basis. It is inefficient and of high cost, and if trading partners try to deal with smallholder farmers on a one-on-one basis, they would never see profit, and their shareholders would close their businesses. So to be able to do this, then there's need for an intermediary. But the intermediaries that have emerged and that have existed in the market to date are fly-by-night intermediaries who are trying to really manipulate as much as they can get from the trading partners and from the farmers. So they're middlemen who are really trying to buy as low as they can from smallholder farmers and sell as high as they can to trading partners. Or if it's the other way where they're selling to smallholder farmers, they want to sell to smallholder farmers at as higher price as they can and buy from trading partners as low as they can. And so this is not transparent, and as you can imagine, smallholder farmers do not benefit in any of this, and in fact, they are left even more vulnerable than they are. I was talking to Tony Gadoke, the CEO of Mukwano, some 3-4 months back when we were in Lira, and he was saying, Mathew, the unfortunate bit is that my business does not really, everyone thinks that my business is benefiting from some of these interactions, but the people that are really benefiting are the people that are in the middle, and they're the ones building the fuel stations that you're seeing in Lira, they're the ones building the hotels. All the money that should go either to the agri-businesses or to the smallholder farmers is being lost right in the middle. So who actually holds value in the value chain? Traditionally, and status quo was and is to some extent is the middlemen that sit in the middle, because they are the one that have got full sight of what is happening with smallholder farmers and full sight of what is happening with
they know
with
how to take
partners.
Advantage of both sides.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so there was need to bring transparency to that. And how do you bring transparency? You bring transparency by making sure that these middlemen are professionalized, they are trained, they are taught the benefits of doing their business in a long-term way that is not exploitative, but that enables them to continue to do business in a continuous way with the same farmers that they're working with and with the trading partners that they're working with. The second thing was...
just give me an example. So William is the middleman who you are now going to professionalize so that when he comes to me, the smallholder farmer, what does that professionalizing look like?
So it looks like this. Number one, we are able to show William how his business works and how his business makes money. And we're able to show William that right now you're making money from buying maize from smallholder farmers at 700 shillings a kg and going and selling this maize to off-takers at 1,200 shillings a kg and making 500 shillings a kg. And then you're able to sell 40 tons in a season, and that's how your entire business exists. And it exists, and you make that money in an exploitative way where these farmers, whenever they see you, they're shaking their heads and they're going like, this one exploits us. And the trading partners are going like, I wish there was a way that I could get and give better value. And so nobody really trusts you. There is a way of making even more money than the money that William is currently making without losing the trust and being able to do repeat business with the same farmers. And that is by providing more services to these farmers. So not just buying maize from them, but also selling inputs to them, but also providing mobile money services to them, providing banking services to them, linking them up with financial services providers, linking them up to tractor services, linking them up to spraying services, and making a small little profit from all those interactions through earning a commission, and a transparent commission that the trading partner knows. And the trading partner is able to set the prices and is able to get the best value to the smallholder farmer.
Isn't
in
that
a transparent
so
way.
much more work for somebody who was, in his own way, getting the profit that he wanted? Now he has to run a mobile money sort of outlet, has to do insurance, has to do all of these other things.
Initially, it is so much more work in terms of setting it up. Let's not lie. There's more activities being done. But these activities are all income-generating activities. They smoothen his cash flows. They give him much more money and better predictability of revenue. He now, instead of just waiting until harvest time for him to make money through the margins that he's experiencing on the produce that he's off-taking, he's also able to make money in planting season by selling inputs. He's also able to make money in the season of land preparation by providing land preparation services. He's able to make money from selling solar kits, which farmers need and which they can use all year round. He's able to sell irrigation equipment. He's able to do a lot more throughout the year that is increasing the sources of revenue, but also he's able to diversify his sources of revenue. So should there be a drought or a flooding or some event that would reduce the amount of produce that is available in the market, his income source is now diversified. He's not just ultimately relying on that. So he himself as an agent is also protected from climate change by diversifying his income sources. But he's doing it in a way that is long term, that gives him a lot more money than he's getting from doing a single thing that is exploitative.
But gives him the trust of the community.
But gives the trust of the community, the trust of the trading partners. Exactly. So that's what this whole WIIGOT ecosystem is about. It's about how do you link the trading partners and the farmers in a transparent way that brings the best value to trading partners, to farmers, and to the commercial agents themselves.
So if I get it right, WIIGOT is centered around the commercial agent? It's centered around the smallholder farmer, but with the commercial agent playing a big role.
So the WIIGOT is designed to bring the best value to farmers, smallholder farmers in this particular case. And it acknowledges that you can't do that by just transferring all the value in the ecosystem to the smallholder farmer. It recognizes that this value has got to also be enjoyed by others who are working with smallholder farmers so that they are able to continue to provide the services and the benefits to the smallholder farmer that they need over a long time. So WIIGOT says, how do we give the best value to the trading partner so that the trading partner is motivated and has got the right reasons to stay in place, but the trading partner has got inefficiencies in working with the smallholder farmer, so it requires an intermediating partner in between. So how do we also have this intermediating partner play a useful role for smallholder farmers and for trading partners, but without exploiting any of them, and in a way that everybody gets value is distributed more equitably across the entire system so that farmers are getting what they deserve for their farming investment. Commercial agents are getting what they deserve for being in business with farmers and with trading partners, and trading partners are getting what they deserve for being in business with smallholder farmers. So everyone is winning. So it's a win-win-win solution, triple win solution. So
if you were selling WIIGOT to somebody, what is and you had to elevator pitch. What is the problem that WIIGOT is trying to solve?
It's transparency in the way smallholder farmers are doing their business. So transparency in pricing, transparency in access, and transparency in the way the agribusinesses are working with the trading partners. Transparency in the way trading partners are interacting with smallholder farmers in a way that makes them have the loyalty that they deserve from their interactions with smallholder farmers.
Have you seen success so far?
Oh, there's lots of positive success, and this has then led into the development of a software management system that is not seeking to be a tool on its own and just be a tool that is seeking to exist as a software for the sake of it, or as an application because everyone is developing an app. But it is a software that has been developed to answer the system issues that have been observed and to say, how do you bring efficiency to an already existing ecosystem? And that's why I wanted to explain WIIGOT, that it is an existing ecosystem that has been professionalized, that we have now layered the software on top of it to help bring better efficiency, better speed, better transparency, better record keeping, better access for everyone involved in this ecosystem.
Where does the smallholder farmer show up on this? I don't want to use the word software. Where do they show up?
So smallholder farmers show up in their interactions with commercial agents. So they're able to walk into a commercial agent shop. One of the things that we're trying to be as simplistic and as practical and really practice informed in how we're addressing this. A lot of people who have designed software and have assumed that smallholder farmers will have phones to run their software, and obviously that has flopped. A lot of people that have designed software with the expectation that the middlemen are very interested in using this software because they are assumed benefits that come into that, and that has flopped. What is different about WIIGOT is that WIIGOT has sought to understand what is already there, and they sought to just digitize what is already happening so that it is able to demonstrate its value add to the players that are already doing what they're doing. So the smallholder farmer is already knowing that there is a WIIGOT accredited agent who offers the best prices and transparent prices, the best technical information, and the best array of solutions.
So, and William, you'll forgive me for using you as an example. So William was once a middleman, but has now been trained, professionalized to become a commercial agent.
Yeah.
So he's now a WIIGOT commercial agent.
Yes.
Right? And I'm a smallholder farmer. When I go to William, what is this interaction?
So number one, as a smallholder farmer, the easiest way of knowing that William is part of WIIGOT is that when you walk to him, there's a sign that is outside his physical shop, because William has got a physical shop with a WIIGOT sign on it. So you already know what to expect as you walk into his shop. So you're expecting fairness. You're expecting extra information, extra knowledge. You're expecting a wide array of services. So as a farmer walks into William, a farmer already is also informed to know to expect transparent pricing. So a farmer can ask William for his phone app to see the price that Mukwano is offering today, or that Mount Mary is offering today, or whoever is buying produce through that commercial agent, who is linked to that commercial agent, and the farmer is able to see that price for themselves, and is not just told that we're buying soybeans today at 1,200. The farmer is able to see, because the prices on this system, on this WIIGOT platform, are set by the trading partner at the back end of the system, and the commercial agent cannot mess around and manipulate these prices. So the farmer can demand to see the price on the system and know that they're getting the fair price that the trading partner is buying at or is selling at. That's one thing. The farmer is able to ask of William and say, I am interested in buying this thing that you do not have in stock. What can you do to do that? And William is able to put in place a request through the system, through the platform, if there is enough if there's enough quantum or quorum of farmers that are requiring that product or service, then William is able to add that product or service onto the list of product and services.
So farmers
that he
want
provides.
insurance.
If farmers want insurance and William is not already providing insurance, William can then be add insurance as another additional. You will need to go through certain processes. So to sell insurance, you will need to be certified for insurance. We already have got a number of commercial agents that are already certified by the insurance authorities in Uganda, who are able to, right now as we speak today, sell insurance to smallholder farmers, and more can be accredited and more can be exposed to do that. The farmer also knows that as they walk into William's shop, William is resident in their village, and William, if there's anything wrong with what they buy or what they sell to William, they are able to walk back to William and say, William, this is the challenge that I am facing. But more importantly, what we have seen from practice, and this is not a natural design of what we designed into WIIGOT, is that we've seen that there are trusted relationships that are built between the farmers and the commercial agents to such an extent that when farmers have got emergency needs, they are able to also walk into William and they are able to
school fees
to sort out some of their emergent smaller needs. Exactly. We have got many stories of school fees having been sorted out, inputs having been provided on credit. The system is not designed to do that.
It's very human, this whole interaction with.
Exactly.
So I understand, me as a smallholder farmer, my interaction with WIIGOT through the commercial agent.
Yeah.
So if you are Mukwano or Omia, what is your interaction then?
So if you're Mukwano or Omia, you have got on this same WIIGOT ecosystem, you have got access to a wider range of commercial agents that are in places that you would not ordinarily have gone to, that have been selected and pre-accredited by an independent accreditation agency that sort of has done all the due diligence, has checked with the local communities, has checked with the LCs, has checked with past performance, has checked with their potential, and has taken an algorithm-based assessment of the likelihood of success of this agent. It's not a perfect system. Nothing is perfect in this world, but it is as good and as reliable as you can get in this imperfect world that we live. And you're able to take those agents and make them your agents, and they become your commercial agents. They represent your interest in the community. They give you instant access to communities that you previously did not have instant access to, or even in communities that you already had access to. They are able to organize that and give you detail and trail about who are the farmers that you are actually serving, what are their buying and what are their selling habits, and how then with that, equipped with that data and information, you're able to make better informed choices about how you allocate the resources of your business to better serve these farmers. But more importantly, you are able to have that direct relationship between yourself and the farmers that is currently missing at the moment, because at the moment you are working with an unknown farmer that is represented by this middleman that is manipulating both sides and does not want the farmers to know who they are selling to, and does not want the person that they are selling to know who are the farmers that they are serving. But in this one, under WIIGOT, it's a very transparent process where the farmers know that the produce that they are selling is ending with trading partner X, or the inputs that they are buying are ultimately coming from trading partner X, and therefore they are buying or selling at the prices that have been set by this trading partner X.
Where are they getting this information? Where is the farmer seeing this information from?
So the farmer is seeing this information at the commercial agent.
So they can tell the commercial agent, I want to see.
Yes.
Okay. And the trading partner is on the platform?
The trading partner is also on the platform. The trading partner is uploading all their stock, is uploading all their requirements if they are off-taking, and is setting the price for the produce that they're off-taking, is tracking. So the commercial agent and the trading partner are linked by a contract. So there's a physical contract, there's a digital contract that exists between the commercial agent and the trading partner that sets the rules of their engagement, including stating the amount of commission that the commercial agent gets from the transaction, and includes the type of value chains or products that the two are going to be trading in, and includes the exclusivity around those products and everything else, and how they can get into the agreement, and how they can end the agreement if both parties are not aligned. So it's a very long-term trust-based system that exists between the commercial agent and the trading partner, that then gives benefit to the smallholder farmer who walks into a WIIGOT accredited agent and is able to demand to see prices, is able to demand to see who's off-taking from them or who they are buying from, and is able to get a transaction record because they are also issued with a farmer card. And based on this farmer card that has been issued to them, they are able to see all their transactions that they're doing under the WIIGOT ecosystem.
Who is keeping all of this honest?
So currently, Climate Smart Jobs is keeping all of that honest. But the intention is for Climate Smart Jobs to identify and hand over this role to another honest broker who's going to continue to play that role of being an honest broker, an honest mediator, the one that sets the ground rules and is able to continue to accredit and discredit agents and trading partners who are not playing fairly in this ecosystem, and impose penalties and punishments as are needed.
You've said that there's been success. What does that success look like? Do we have numbers of farmers interacting with this? Do we have numbers of commercial agents that have already signed up for WIIGOT and trading partners?
Yes. So to date, there are over 370 commercial agents that are trading on the WIIGOT ecosystem. Some of them are still offline. They're still in the process of being digitized. As you can imagine, the full rollout of digitization sometimes takes time. There are issues to do with system integration, but also just training and knowledge about how to use the system and how to be on the system, but also just practical workload issues around approvals and the like.
And due diligence takes time.
Due diligence takes time.
Yeah.
But in terms of trade that is happening, there is practical, tangible trade that is already happening with these identified agents in the communities where they are. And we are already seeing some success now in terms of these transactions now happening on the WIIGOT software. And that has been a significant milestone for us. And it has been able to show us where this software holds or where the software breaks, and be able to allow us to make modifications and adjustments. And the feedback that we've been receiving from trading partners and commercial agents and farmers alike has been very, very positive and encouraging, and we can't wait to see it in its full potential when everyone is now fully rolled out and fully functioning on this software.
What's still a problem? Where are smallholder farmers concerned?
Smallholder farmers' concerns are still around the transparency of knowing that this is indeed the correct price that they're buying from. And that's difficult to see if the software is not running in the commercial agent that they've gone into. So their commercial agent might be operating on WIIGOT, as I explained, the ecosystem of WIIGOT. But if they are not yet onboarded onto the software, the smallholder farmer finds it difficult to then demand to see that accountability. And we are trying to accelerate the onboarding of the full functionality, the full functionality of commercial agents on the WIIGOT software. And that is one challenge that is still existing. The second challenge is that smallholder farmers want all the services that have been pitched that should be available to a commercial agent to be available from day one. And as we know, some of these services and products take time to onboard. So a commercial agent it must have at least two key things that they're doing, which is selling inputs and buying produce. But they might not be able to buy all the produce that is being produced in that area. They might just be buying soya and sesame, and they are not yet soya and simsim, in correct the description. They might not yet be buying maize. They might not yet be buying sorghum, and it might take time. And the farmers want them from day one to already be buying that maize and sorghum, whereas the commercial agent is only buying to two products for practical reasons until they are able to have the momentum and the practicality to buy all the products that farmers are producing. And then on the input side, they might be selling specific inputs because there are cash flow issues and other things to manage. And smallholder farmers want to be able to walk and find a full-fledged agro dealer that has got every single input of their desire. So there is demand and pressure on WIIGOT to really perform and make sure that there's growth and there's evidence of that growth at rapid scale, that smallholder farmers are able to walk into this one-stop shop and truly get the full experience of the one-stop shop.
So we know there's no shortage of technology-based solutions to the issues that surround agriculture in developing countries like Uganda. What's making WIIGOT different from everything else that you've seen?
No, I think that's what I alluded to earlier when I said a number of softwares have been developed because people think people need a tool. And so they've seen a problem and they think the problem can be solved by the tool that they develop. And in a lot of these cases, these tools are not relevant and practical to the people who have been the subject of the development of these tools. What's different about WIIGOT is that WIIGOT was not the software for WIIGOT was that the software for WIIGOT was not developed. It was not the original end that drove it. It was actually need that drove the development of the software. The WIIGOT ecosystem already existed before the software. Transactions were happening between smallholder farmers and trading partners through commercial agents. And then there was need to make sure that efficiency is brought into how that was happening. And hence the software was developed. So the software was developed to respond to a need. And so therefore it was designed to replicate and to follow what was already happening in practice. So it is easier to be adopted, and it's a lot more intuitive and driven and influenced and inspired by real experiences of farmers, of commercial agents, and of trading partners. And that's what the difference is.
We've spoken quite a bit at length about WIIGOT, but before I end this particular conversation on WIIGOT, what's the one other thing that we've not captured that you think is important for people to know about it?
About WIIGOT? It is that it has got the potential, and not just potential, it is already manifesting in practice to transform and revolutionize how agriculture transactions happen for smallholder farmers, not only in northern Uganda, but in the whole of Uganda and potentially across and spilling into East Africa, which is really around bringing transparency and accountability to all parties involved and distributing value truly across all the parties involved in agricultural enterprises. And that is massive, and that is real transformation, and that is how you get smallholder farmers out of poverty, and that is how you get smallholder farmers protected from the effects of climate change. And that is how you get smallholder farmers to get the best information that they need in the best practical way with the right practical solutions, and that they're just not getting information, they're getting information which is tied down to practical goods and practical services that they're able to utilize in their day-to-day lives to actually be better and more prepared and more protected from the impacts and the effects of climate change.
So right now, WIIGOT is focused in Acholi, Lango, West Nile, and Kiriandongo. Where else is it going?
So we want to give the best value and the best return because if you're not focused, you do not achieve. So we want to get the best results that we can get in these 4 areas of Acholi, Lango, West Nile, and Kiriandongo. And so once we have got the best in-class results that are coming out of these 4 areas, then the sky is the limit. Then WIIGOT will come into central Uganda, WIIGOT will go into eastern Uganda, WIIGOT will go into western Uganda, southwestern Uganda, and will be fully embedded as the practical way and the only way that smallholder farmers who really are serious about their agricultural enterprises can interact and do transactions with the market around them.
On the first day after the CSJ project closes, whenever that may be, what will you consider a success?
Oh, sorry. So I'll just build on on WIIGOT. A well-functioning WIIGOT ecosystem is definitely one of those successes that I would consider. So I would say a functioning WIIGOT ecosystem. There's elements of CSJ that we did not get to talk about because
there's a lot about this project.
We then went down the rabbit hole of WIIGOT because naturally we just ended up there. But CSJ has been involved in a conservation farming practice inspired agricultural system called Pfumvudza, which has really transformed the way smallholder farmers are doing agriculture in northern Uganda. And I think that getting it embedded into government agricultural extension practices would be a good success, and we're trying to see how we can inspire and get the government to adopt it as a way of farming. Our work with farmer groups and transforming farmer groups from just being informal and bringing a lot more structure to them and making them be shareholder based and their governance revolves around shareholding and not around previous methods that have proven to be problematic with regards to governance. I think that and sustaining that and seeing that sustained is going to be a beautiful and brilliant success to see. Our work with media, with people like yourself and others in the media fraternity is something that we're most proud of, and we think we have gone a long way into influencing our information reaches smallholder farmers and the right information on climate change, but also on climate change as it relates to agriculture for smallholder farmers. Those are the 4 things that are top of mind. Agroforestry, I could talk. CSJ has got a lot of things that it has done, but I will stop at these 4-5 things, including agroforestry.
So you spoke about Pfumvudza, Farmer Group Enterprises. We got the work with media, agroforestry. I know that CSJ was doing work with women and refugees. What's standing out from that work?
So what's standing out is that the work that we've done with women and refugees has been best impacted by what we are doing, number one, with formalizing their groups, with getting them to adopt the Pfumvudza farming practice, which is really suited for their land requirements and resource needs. Our work with WIIGOT and giving them better value for their resources. Our work with media in terms of giving them access to information. So everything that I'm talking about has been our work on agroforestry and bringing them into higher value crops like cocoa and seeing more trees planted, but trees planted for a wider economic community benefit, but also economic benefit. These are things that were specifically designed for the benefit of the wider community, but also with refugees and women in mind. And when you look at them, the barriers to entry for women and refugees are significantly reduced. And that makes us very proud and happy about the achievements that we have done in that regard. I've not spoken about labor, which is another intervention that we are doing around providing off-farm labor for refugees and also with women in mind. And I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it.
We have to have a number of other episodes with you where we capture Farmer Group Enterprises in detail. I think it helps to break it down and people to properly understand how that all works, the labor model. Agroforestry are covering right now with cocoa. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a couple of more episodes where we can break down all of the things that the project has managed to achieve. What have you learned in leading this project? What have you learned about Uganda? What have you learned about yourself, about climate change and about agriculture?
Firstly, before I respond to that, I don't know whether you've got the capacity to sit me through in this, and I take over your podcast and be talking to people in 6, 7, 8 episodes talking about all the other elements of CSJ. So hopefully you're going to have to pick and prioritize what are the things that you think I would add the most value to the discussion on. But I will leave that to you and the directors behind the scenes to choose where the most efficient use of me is going to come from. What have I learned? I have learned that smallholder farmers' problems can be solved, and that they are not problems that do not have solutions, and that the solutions are home-based, and that the solutions lie in a combination of actions, not in one particular action, and that the solutions come when we are able to bring all the stakeholders onto the same table and play their small roles, from government setting up the right conditions for business to thrive and for the right technical information to be in place and to standardize it and to get to farmers in an efficient way, to the private sector being long-term thinking about their investment and their work in agriculture and about how they operate in the agriculture space, but also other private sector and how they provide supporting services to smallholder farmers, to commercial agents, recognizing their role in the ecosystem of production of smallholder farmers and market interaction and market performance and service delivery, and to farmers themselves willing to recognize and understand that the world that we're living in right now is changing, and at a pace that they've got to continue to continuously upgrade themselves on an ongoing basis and respond to the changes and adjust their practices, adjust their way of doing farming to the changing environment, both from a weather perspective, but also from a practice perspective. I said both, but also from an economic perspective, and from a future-proofing their agricultural enterprises, and knowing that their activities on the farm is not about just feeding their stomach, but it's about feeding the nation, and it's about them making enough money as well as they feed themselves and feed the nation, and increasing the opportunities that they've got for themselves.
Thank you, Mathew. It's been a very long but informative episode. And like I said before, yes, I'm hoping we'll be able to convince you to come back. I think it's important that you and the rest of the CSJ team is able to highlight the critical things that have come out of the project that are changing lives in northern Uganda. So thank you for taking the time.
No, thanks, Josephine, for having me. As you can imagine, CSJ is a very big, complex project doing many things, and so the pressure to try and explain all of them in a short sitting like this, what you're calling a long sitting, is too much for the program of the ambition and the achievement of climate smart jobs. Thank you for having me.
We'll do our best to make sure we capture as much of the successes as we can. Thank you, Mathew. And if you want to know more about the Climate Smart Jobs project and the different things that they've been doing, if you want to know about WIIGOT, which is spelled as WIIGOT, the pronunciation is probably not the best coming from me, but if you want to know about all of that, the information will be in the show notes of this episode, or you can visit csj.co.ug or WIIGOTAfrica.com and you'll find all of that information. Thanks for listening. My name is Josephine Karunji. Until next time.